The stage lights dimmed inside the grand auditorium of America's Got Talent, and a quiet murmur rippled through the audience. No one expected the next act to become one of the most unforgettable performances of the season. A small Filipino boy, dressed in a simple outfit with a shy but determined expression, walked onto the massive stage. He looked tiny against the glowing backdrop and towering judges' table. Among those judges sat the famously tough and often brutally honest Simon Cowell, known for his sharp critiques and nearly unreadable reactions. The crowd offered polite applause, unsure of what to expect. When the host asked what he would be performing, the boy softly replied that he would sing a song by Elvis Presley. A few eyebrows lifted. Singing Elvis is never easy. His voice, charisma, and legacy are legendary. Covering a king of rock and roll classic on such a huge stage seemed almost impossible for someone so young. But the boy closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and as the first note escaped his lips, the entire atmosphere shifted in an instant. From the very first line, it was clear this was no ordinary audition. The richness in his voice carried a depth far beyond his years. He wasn't merely copying Elvis. He was channeling the spirit of the music while adding his own soul. Each note flowed with stunning control, emotional weight, and surprising power. The audience, which had been whispering moments before, fell into absolute silence. It was the kind of silence that only happens when something magical is unfolding. His tone captured the vintage warmth associated with Elvis Presley, yet it felt fresh and deeply personal. The camera cut to the judges, and for once, Simon Cowell wasn't leaning back with skepticism. He was leaning forward, eyes fixed on the stage. There was no smirk, no raised eyebrow, just genuine surprise. As the performance built toward the chorus, the boy's confidence grew. He held a long, powerful note that sent chills through the auditorium. And suddenly the crowd erupted into spontaneous applause mid-song, something that rarely happens unless a performance truly transcends expectations. As the music continued, something even more extraordinary happened. The boy didn't rely on flashy runs or over-the-top theatrics. Instead, he focused on storytelling. Every lyric felt lived in, every phrase delivered with sincerity. It was as though he understood the heartache, longing, and passion embedded in the classic track. The spotlight shimmered off the stage floor, reflecting the tears that began to form in the eyes of audience members. Even the other judges exchanged glances of disbelief. They had seen thousands of auditions, countless tributes, and many attempts at legendary songs. But this was different. This was raw, authentic, and undeniably powerful. When the final chorus arrived, his voice soared with controlled intensity, filling every corner of the theater. It wasn't just technically impressive, it was emotionally transformative. The performance felt less like an audition and more like a moment in music history being reborn. Then came the final note. He held it just long enough to make the entire room hold its breath with him. When the music stopped, there was a split second of stunned silence, an almost sacred pause, before the audience leapt to their feet in a thunderous, standing ovation. Cheers echoed through the hall as the boy stood humbly, blinking in disbelief. The camera immediately turned to Simon Cowell, whose reaction said everything. He was speechless. For a man known for always having something critical or witty to say, his silence spoke volumes. He simply shook his head slowly, smiling in amazement. When he finally reached for the microphone, he paused again, clearly choosing his words carefully. "I did not expect that," he admitted. "That was incredible." Coming from him, those words carried enormous weight. It was a rare and powerful endorsement that signaled something truly special had just occurred. The other judges echoed the sentiment, praising not only the boy's vocal ability, but his courage and authenticity. They spoke about how difficult it is to sing a legend song without being overshadowed by the original artist's presence. Yet somehow, this young performer managed to honor Elvis Presley while standing firmly in his own spotlight. The audience continued applauding, some chanting his name. Social media began buzzing instantly, clips of the audition spreading like wildfire. Viewers around the world were moved by the purity of his talent and the emotional sincerity of his performance. Many commented that it felt like watching history repeat itself, like witnessing the rise of a star who could carry forward the timeless essence of rock and roll for a new generation. By the time the segment ended, it was clear that this was more than just another audition on America's Got Talent. It was a reminder of why the show exists in the first place, to uncover hidden brilliance in the most unexpected places. A young Filipino boy had stepped onto one of the biggest stages in the world and delivered a performance that even Simon Cowell could barely put into words. In that moment, he wasn't just a contestant. He was a symbol of passion, dedication, and the universal power of music. His voice bridged generations, cultures, and continents, proving that true talent needs no translation. And as the lights dimmed and the applause finally faded, one thing was certain: the king's spirit had been honored, and a new star had quietly begun his rise.